Hello, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Witch Cafe. I'm Priscilla Stone, your host, which you know. If you're in the live chat, thank you so much for joining. If you're listening on Anomalous Podcast Network, thank you for joining. I'm going to apologize if you're watching this on YouTube. I have like a lag and my internet's been crazy for the past couple weeks because of Kentucky rain. It ruins everything. So so if it's lagging on the video side, I apologize for that. Tonight we have Steph from UAP Experiencers on, and I will let her tell you a little bit about herself. So Steph, who are you? What do you do? What is UAP Experiencers?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I've been following you since about last summer, and as soon as I decided to start talking about my experience that my mom, my sister, my brother, and myself had back in 1985, it had just been weighing on me. I had a lot of time to think about it. Everything shut down, and it literally was just in the back of my mind, almost haunting me on a daily basis. And I'm thinking there's more to what had happened to all of us, and I want to do something about it. So I decided to create UAP Experiencers for that very reason, because I know that there's so many people out there outside of what's being reported on the news. We have all of the military accounts, but obviously my mom, my sister, my brother, and I, we were civilians, and we had experienced a UAP quite up close, and you know very, very memorable. So we actually do have accounts from my mother, which is on video, and an audio from my sister. My brother had since passed in 2018, but there were four of us that did witness this. And I wanted to create UAP Experiencers for people to talk about it and not feel that they had to hold anything back, or they were going to be judged, or you know ridiculed or made fun of, because that's exactly what the media has done to everyone in this entire community. They've made them feel a certain way, that it's untrue, or that the whole just same stigma. I use the word kook, just maybe it's a Southern California thing, but they would make you feel that way. And I have a handful of people that I have spoken to about it, and having this outlet of Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you have so many more avenues that you find more people who actually have had their own unique experience. And whether it be UAP, SUP, it could be anything. So yeah, I just think that it's important for us to continue talking about it, and things are going to continue to progress with this whole subject. So it's not too late to talk about. If you haven't spoken to anyone about it, speak about it now. This is the time. You need to share. It actually does feel therapeutic in a lot of ways. I was telling Priscilla earlier before we jumped on that prior to jumping on, it was a Twitter space. I had anxiety talking about it, and that was just no video. So it does exude some sort of emotions from you, because you almost do feel otherwise, like, did this actually occur? Did this happen? And in our instance, there were four witnesses. So it's something that we obviously know did occur. And but when you're alone, then who are you going to talk to? Or you know what I mean? So I think that's my main goal is, let's get out there, let's talk about it. It's not just military accounts that matter. There's plenty of citizens that have had these strange occurrences happen. So yeah, that's where I'm at here. Yeah.
I love that, and I love that, there's so many more people coming around to, like, the grassroots stories, as they will say,
Sure.
there's a lot of people rooting for the military people to come out right now. Like, I feel like there's people working on that, but I was seeing all this happen, and as revolutionary as it was to have everybody's, accounts coming out from, like, the Nimitz, it
Mhm.
still was like what about like all the people that are not considered credible witnesses?
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
I'm if I told you my whole background, I might seem credible, but like right now, no. I'm a stay-at-home mom that's a witch. Nobody knows about the science background or the career before that, you know. So it's very scary to come forward with your story.
Right.
I'm gonna put some headphones on. Sorry, I have an echo today. I'm
Can
a
you hear
slight
me?
technical difficulty all over the place today.
Well, and that's the thing also, Priscilla, is
It wasn't bad, but it was enough to be like, oh, I'm echoing. Ah, oh my goodness. Sorry guys, I'm tangled. It's my first day back, like after like a long break or something, it feels like. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you, yeah. And we're glad you're back, Priscilla.
is that better?
You sound great.
Now I can't hear you. What the heck is going on here? Okay. All right. I guess it's not going to work. Can you
All
hear me
right.
now?
I can hear you still.
I can't hear you now. What's going on? Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm like in the twilight zone over here. Let me. Hey, Steph, why don't you tell them about some of the questions that you might ask? I'm going to hop on and hop back in. So it
Sure.
should be okay.
Okay, so as you guys all know, Priscilla did have her own experience herself of when she was a little girl, and I believe it was in Arizona with the lights. So that was the UAP that she actually saw. So, hi. So, one of the questions that I do want to ask her is when the lights dissipated or disappeared, as most people would account. In my case, there was a flash of light and it was gone. So did you see any bright flash before they had gone away, or did they slowly dissipate into the air?
Okay. Are you talking? You're asking me, right? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. The audio was when I left. It didn't come back all the way right away, but it's back now. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
everybody.
it's okay.
Yeah. So there was no flash.
Mhm.
There was what seemed like lightning, lightning after, like days after that. I was seeing flashes when there wasn't lightning before the other experiences happened. But when they all did the whole trick thing that they did, they
Right.
lined up. They thought it was one craft, like a triangle. And
Okay.
then they did these flips in the air and came down, and then they lined up, and it was like it seemed like they started to go up, but then they were just gone. Like, no, I don't remember a flash, a sound,
And that's so
anything.
interesting that they almost formed a shape where it almost appeared that it was one, but it in
Right.
fact were multiple, which I've heard from other people where
Yeah.
they view the same craft, but it's a different shape in their perspective. And since we're on that, when we had our occurrence, my mom and I both witnessed a triangular shape. My sister, in her audio account, witnessed round.
Wow.
I know.
That's so common. Like, you know, it's like they show themselves so many different ways. And I just keep thinking back to, like, when Lou Elizondo was on Max's, channel, and he
Mhm.
had drawn, like, the bubbles, like, some of the theories around, like, how they're able to form different shapes, but that still doesn't account for people seeing it at the same time, but differently.
Right. Well, and it's that perspective thing where, you were mentioning a friend. It was just a general thing earlier where you had said something about her describing one thing one way, but you heard it a different way. So similar situation where, people are witnessing these crafts high up in the sky, and it sounds like they're seeing the same object but viewing it in a different shape, which is pretty intriguing to me. So I found that interesting after I heard my sister's account again, after so many years. So yeah.
Yeah, that is, and a lot of people say that, and it's talked about by so many different, like, people in the field too, like, is this especially in Jacques Vallée's book, Messengers of Deception. Like they're giving us a message, but are they trying to deceive us, or are we just kind of like open to the way that we're accepting what they're projecting, or are they controlling what they're projecting and showing?
Right.
It's super crazy to think about that so many people, and especially with like the beings, like I've still only heard one person talk about the being, like how I saw the being,
Mm-hmm.
like in my room, like as a hologram type thing.
That.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's all of the way the beings are so all over the place, but kind of
Right.
doing the same jobs, for the
Yeah.
lack of a better word.
It's all good. General statement. It's all good. But yeah, and you think about the hologram effect also that ran through my mind. I was thinking, was it possible that this actually wasn't there and this was a hologram of some sort? Is that possible? And
Right.
but the physical feeling of like the proximity of how close this object was to us, it was definitely real. But you go through all of those scenarios to think, is it possible that that's how it was there? I don't know,
Right.
so that's where we're here trying to figure this whole situation out.
Yeah, and that's why it's so scary to talk about it. Like I remember, so
Yeah.
like when Steph, I think you were the first person to ask me. I think I had mentioned it like on a live, maybe like with Disclosure Team and some other people, it kind of came up.
Hmm.
But it was like the
Or
brief thing,
maybe Clubhouse. I don't
Maybe
know.
it was Clubhouse
Yeah.
first, because I was trying to do like this Quantum Witch Cafe there, and I feel like Clubhouse and TikTok are just so much work. Like you always have to be on, and you have to like post so much and be on so much, and I just didn't have that time with like kids, you know what I mean? So,
For sure.
I found like the YouTube, Instagram to be a lot easier for me,
Hmm.
to like get information out, share people's information, meet people or whatever. But that's besides the point. Yeah, you asked me and I was like some of the questions you asked, like I had never been asked before.
Hmm.
So it was like, oh wow, like um I was super nervous when you were talking to me, because you had asked, like the general experience, right? And then you asked like the location,
Hmm.
and then I don't even know what I could probably go back and look, but you asked so many in-depth questions that like I knew, but nobody had ever asked.
Okay.
So like what is like a sample like questionnaire that you would give somebody? Like say somebody messages you and they're like, "Hey, like I have this experience. I'm terrified to tell everybody. I don't, I'm really nervous about it." Like how do you start that conversation?
First, I let them know, that you're not going to be judged by any means. I just think that, some people think I'm part of the government. I've had people ask me that. And you know, I'm glad that I'm not. I'm glad that I'm a space where it's almost as if you're going to see a counselor in some way, where you're talking to somebody who has gone through a similar situation. And you know uh, first and foremost, that's what I want, is them to be comfortable. You need to be comfortable. And I think that's how people kind of do decide who they're going to share that information with. For me, I did not want to
Absolutely.
move on, right? um, I I found a Twitter space, and I found someone who was super easy to talk to, just sounded like somebody that I could maybe find some information from, where I could go to next. And so I think that it's kind of just that whole unique situation for each experiencer, where they might want to go to move on, and that's perfectly fine. If that's how you want to share your information. For me, initially, when we went through what we went through, my mom contacted the FAA, okay? And then we had called March Air Force Base. We never got an answer back from them. And that is part of the reason why I didn't want to go to some government entity or something that was so almost like sterile, or something that's
Yes.
more rigid. I wanted to go somewhere where it was comfortable, where I could speak to a person that would be a friend. And that's kind of how I decided to go this route. But that's pretty much how I would started out, anybody who has had anything happen, send us an email, or DM, whatever, you're comfortable with. And pretty much what I would like to know is there's all the things that I experienced. So did you hear sound? Were there propulsion systems? Were there blades? What color were the lights? Were they frosted? Were they bright? Was there a flash? My mom noted, that she remembered frosted lights, and I thought that was a pretty interesting notation of how to describe a light. And when you start hearing more of, say, my mom talking about it, my sister talking about it, I begin to remember things also. I was only 6 years old, but I remember this object
Yeah.
as if it were right there. And I wish I had a camera. That's the main thing that I wish.
Well, sometimes they don't work for
But that's
people.
what I hear. But
And that's another question is like, and I've heard other people say this. I'm trying to say it like in a way that's not going to be like, well, honestly, the way is like it's up to them almost what they want to show people, what they want to capture. It's like there was a chapter in Diana Palsupa's book, American Cosmic, where it's like UFOs are not photogenic, and they are when they want to be.
right.
So, and you saw like the whole craft, right? Like
Yeah.
and of course, feel comfortable, like we talked about before, just how if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, you don't have to, but you saw like a whole craft. It wasn't like what I saw like with orbs that looked like a craft at first, right?
Right. No, we saw an actual shape, and it was very close to us. I mean, it was about the size of, at the time, when you're a kid, everything looks bigger. You go to Disneyland, the castle is humongous.
Mhm.
But to me at that time, I would say it would be about the size of a diesel container.
Wow.
That's how large this craft appeared to be.
Insane.
And it was pretty crazy.
So what was your like belief system like at the time? Like what was like were you guys like Christian? Were you non-denominational? Just kind of like, like what? Because I found that like a lot of people's belief system like changes like right after the event, even for kids. So did anything like that happen with you?
We came from my grandmother's house. That's where we had left. They were not religious at all. But on my other side, my dad's side, they were Catholic. So I kind of came up Catholic Christian hybrid in some sense.
Yeah.
So, and I still am, I'm not like, I believe in God. So that didn't change. But yeah, nothing really. I mean, I was 6, my sister, she is Christian. My mom, she is not religious at all. So it's kind of interesting how your friends also
Yeah.
influence you along the way. But but yeah, I mean, and not. I believe in spirits also. So
Right.
it's just, I feel that there's something else out there.
Well, I mean, spirits are in the Bible, so it's not like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong, like people think like because I'm a witch, I'm not like, into God or Jesus. Like
Yeah.
I'm pagan. I like them all. I'm just kidding. I like all the gods.
That's totally cool. I have
But like
friends.
I've had some beautiful Jesus experiences and God experiences, and to me, it kind of all narrowed down to being like a energy stream. With the experiences that followed my sorry, I'm getting all shaky voice now, of course.
No, it's all good.
With the experiences that followed my first, like that followed like the initial sighting or experience, the beings and stuff like that, and the things that I felt like were happening to me made me think they were demons because we were like a Catholic thing. And now they were not all the experiences were bad, but I seem to remember more of like the scary, like gray type situations, like the whole like, violation, experimentation type stuff. So to me, I was like, these are demons and they're trying to look like aliens. It was such a weird rationale, to have, but I was like under the age of 10 when this started happening. So like all is like my grandma was a medium, so I was familiar with ghosts and paranormal stuff. But also being Catholic, there's angels, there's demons, there's God, there's Jesus, and saints,
Sure.
right? So,
Yeah. Sorry, my eyes watering.
oh no,
Um,
no worries.
right. No, I'm not
It's still
crying.
there. It happened to me earlier. I was out with the boys and we were at Michael's. Yep, suburban mom, house mom at Michael's. And
That's
some
hilarious.
weird thing just like landed in my eye. I'm like, great. I'm at Michael's and some weird like crafting glitter got in my eye, or who knows. I was just there and I was just like checking out and just like makeup like running down my face. And
Yeah, too much eyeliner today for me.
I always have too much eyeliner on. I'm just like, I either look like a like I'm like no makeup bum, or I have like eyeliner and everything on.
Same here too. It's glam or sweats. Yeah,
Exactly,
right.
exactly. And we both wore stars, by the way, guys, on accident. Like we didn't plan it. And it's funny because I was looking at that. She's like, "See, I got this at Target." I was like, "Oh, I saw that, but I didn't know
Yes.
if I could rock it." But yeah, so back to the sorry.
No, it's
We hang out
okay.
here. We hang out, right?
I'm
We're
totally
all friends.
following you. Eh,
Um,
Yes. And well, I will say my sister now, and you'll find this interesting. My sister, she did have some weird occurrences happen when she was a young kid after this had happened, where there were things with electricity that had happened.
yeah,
A blow dryer had turned on in the room we were sleeping in. She would, and I don't want to divulge or speak for her too much because
right.
she's a private person also, and
Yeah, of
you know
course.
when
Yeah,
we
you
play
never
her
have to tell more than what you don't think you should
right,
tell. I'm very understanding of that. I'll never push somebody beyond their comfort zone, especially,
absolutely.
like, live and on a show, so
Sure. No. And yeah, and I mean, she works for corporate America. My sister is a very straight, square type person. You know, we both have had careers, and another reason that we wouldn't just go and divulge this information because it sounds kind of out there,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But as you're talking, it does remind me of certain things that she did encounter. And as a kid, she did have some interesting things with electricity was one,
Mm.
and she's not into ghosts or anything paranormal or anything like that either. So that's the other thing that's so interesting about it is it just kind of happened to her,
Yeah.
similar to you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So, but I think I
Yeah.
think she just doesn't accept it now. My eyes really
I'm just
watering. I'm
picturing,
really
like, the
sorry,
most I'm
guys.
not laughing at you, no, I'm picturing, like, something like
I
my
look like
oh,
what is
for a
it?
second, I was like, "Oh, that's a cute mole." Like, I thought you had, like when you got close, it was there.
What is
Okay, if you're
it?
listening to audio,
Suicide Squad.
something's in her eyeball right now. So if you're listening on Anomalous Podcast Network and you're like, "Why are these girls" makeup gives people problems at this hour, so she still
Sorry.
looks gorgeous though, for the record.
Oh, you're so
Um,
thank you.
yeah, like, I'm picturing some, like, super, like, I picture, like, almost like my husband. He's very logical. Like, if something happened to him and he just, like, walks up to something and just, like, shorts out, and he's, like, not like me. Like me, I'd be like, "Oh, they changed my energy." Like, now, not when I was little, but I'd be like, "They
Yeah.
charged me." Like, who knows? But
Yeah. Oh, I believe that, I mean, a lot of people they carry different energy. And I
oh,
think that,
absolutely.
if you're accepting of that, then you notice it more. But if you're otherwise like my sister, she shrugs it off. But,
She was just like, "Darn lights every time they pop,"
right.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. But do
It's
you
interesting you bring
meditate?
the lights up, because some other people have talked
Yeah.
about that, and it happens when there's spirits around too, because supposedly, since they're, like, different sorts of entities, they don't have the same, like, energetic workings as us, basically, so they have to draw from either people's energy or, like, electricity to make themselves more visible.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So but it happens to a lot of people that have had experiences too for some reason, like, for the next
Hmm.
couple days, like, weird things will be happening, and sometimes some people, it never goes away.
Hmm. I will say, I do, have my stones and I have my rose quartz and I meditate. And
See, I got
yes,
them on.
it's so beautiful. And not only are they just beautiful specimens, from the earth, and
Just
I
that part alone's amazing, right?
they're beautiful. I can't believe it. Yeah, I mean the earth made these items, and um, but meditating with them is also I think, a total game changer.
It really is.
If you put that intention in there, you can, you do get a different energy. And I know when I am really thinking about it, it's weird because this isn't my like forte, right? Meditation is not something that's my forte. I know you have somebody that probably is that person.
There's always somebody that does it differently. We'll just say differently because now we're discovering new ways to meditate. Like, you don't have to be just some dude in a cave with, like, nobody around to reach I mean, like, obviously without distractions. If you can transcend that way, cool, but some people go on meditative walks now, and that's what I try to tell people, like, the goal for everybody isn't to completely clear your mind. The goal is to, like, watch your thoughts, just, like but don't hang on to it. Don't go into that, like, it's almost like a cycle, when we get a thought in our head and we wanna, like, think about it over and over.
Sure.
It's just kinda like moving past that, like, "Cool, I do have stuff to do later. Oh, cool, that happened today," but you don't, like, linger with it.
Definitely. And I highly recommend it for anyone who is curious about it. You really do just need to take the time for yourself. And if you have to walk out into the woods, if you have to, escape your, roommates or what have you, you really do. If you take that time for yourself, it is a game changer. It
We
is
were
an
just talking
absolute
about this before
so
too.
beautiful. It's you were
Remember we were talking about you're like, "You have to take care of yourself
Oh,
first,"
you
like
yeah, you do earlier, yeah, for sure. And there's another thing called grounding, where if you actually do take
Yep.
your shoes off, plant your feet on the ground, get them out of your tennis shoes,
Yep.
and actually, feel the earth's energy. Again, I am just dabbling
Absolutely.
around in this. It's incredible.
No,
It's
it works.
wonderful. It's like
No,
you get
I love that you're exploring it because now I feel like I can talk to people about it more.
yeah.
My grandpa said, like, for some reason, I used to, like, walk out, we had to, like they were doing some renovations to his house, and that's what I was raised by my grandparents for the most part.
Mhm.
So we had to go they rented some, like, condo on a resort basically in Arizona, and he would take me on this walk up this hill, and he said I would, like, stand there, and of course, my grandpa's, like, old school, he'd be like, "You'd stand there like the Indians on your dad's side with their arms up to the sun," and I'm like, "And take your shoes off," and I'm like, how did I know? Like, when you're little, right?
How did you
When you're
know?
little that grass feels good. You just know this when you're little, and you know that when you camp, if you're not like one of those clean freaks that's like, "I could never camp, I need a real toilet," like one of those people, like, even those people kinda come out of the wilderness feeling better,
For
more,
sure.
like, in line with, like, their circadian rhythms, and it's like a reset button. But yeah, go outside without your shoes, guys. Like
Do it. Do it. Bring your
And
rose.
Steph, I'm sending you some crystals and some, like, meditation oils because that's, like, my side thing that I do. Like,
Awesome.
like, blend meditation oils, and, I have one with, like, mugwort and blue tansy and some other high vibrational, oils that I use to, like, really, like it's more like to initiate lucid dreaming, but you can use it for transcendental meditation as well.
Neat. I love it. It's natural. It's from the earth, and yeah, I
And at the
mean,
most, guys, they're pretty. My husband,
and
like,
they're
studied
beautiful.
geology. He'll buy nice crystals now because he's a geologist. And then
Awesome.
I benefit. I'm like, "You don't want that little cheap thing, you want this one, it's like this big,"
For
which
sure.
help.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What is
no
this? Is this a
disclosure. Hey, what's up, Vinny?
Vinny, how are you up, man? Your clock's probably all weird because Colombia's on our time zone, so
He's just getting back. He's probably all just
yeah, all crazy feeling with the time. Benji's here, Aaron's
what's up,
here,
Benji?
Carolina, everybody's here. Thank you so
Aaron,
much.
what's
Sorry, I
up?
just
I
wanna
know
take a
you're
minute to
here.
thank everybody that popped up that wasn't here at the
Are your
beginning. I
shoes off
appreciate
though?
you.
Are your shoes off? That's what I
Everybody
want to
take
know.
your shoes off. Mine are not off. It got to, like, 30 degrees, so I have, like, fuzzy socks, to be honest.
Oh, that's nice. That's never a bad thing.
Alright, guys,
So,
back to the
okay,
aliens.
so back on. Well, and I feel like we're covering so many things that do coincide
That
with
happens
this
here.
because
That happens here.
no, and I mean
That's what
it
it's
changes
for.
you. It
Y
actually
it
it
does.
changes you. So, but yeah, so thanks for listening to our sidetrack,
It's alright,
statements. But
guys.
they all go together. If you've
Yeah,
been an
it's all the same.
experiencer, yeah, you'll feel different. You will feel different
You
after.
will.
So I know
It's almost
Vinny
like
and
even at
them. What's
Sorry,
that?
go ahead.
Oh, I know Vinny and them, I think, saw something in Colombia. So I'm interested
Oh.
to hear about that. That's going to be
Oh my
super.
gosh, don't tell me Vinny finally saw something in the sky.
I hope
Vinny, I'm
so.
gonna harass you now.
I hope
I'm gonna
so.
harass you. I love it when people have their first, experience. Like, so many people's first calls to me, like, "I just saw something, and it wasn't a plane, or it wasn't this," and they're just, like, confused. It goes from, like, this it has, like, stages. It's, like, confused, if it wasn't too close, and then
Right.
and then after that, it's, like, elated, and then after that, it's, like, the ontological it's either I don't wanna say crisis, it's not always a crisis, sometimes it's, like, a big, like, realization that things are bigger than they thought they were.
Sure.
And then they take off their shoes and they buy some crystals, and then here they are.
I know. I know. I don't want it to sound silly. I
It's
don't want it
not
to sound
silly,
silly.
you had
It's
to look to your
not.
ancestors and
Yeah.
look at the world, like, people are always like, "Oh, well, it's trendy right now." Like, it's a trend for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I worked
Lem
in a jewelry store, actually. I mean, we sold rubies and
Oh, wow.
diamonds and, I mean, tourmaline and just everything you can imagine. So I think that that was part of the other reason where I did actually find more interested, just dabbling around in what came from the earth. But yeah. So what else do we want to know? So um, I do want to let you guys know that I know that a lot of people who have experienced these phenomena were near military bases, and my family actually was in the aerospace business. We did manufacture airplane parts. We did. I actually have some notes because my mom has told me some more stuff that
That's
that
cool, though,
we
I'm glad that she saw it with you and can add to, like, the understanding.
right. Well, and I'm starting to think, well, is there a correlation between us working in the aerospace business? So we did work on the Stealth, which was in the mid 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we parts of the Apollo military helicopters. So we did have a connection to the aerospace business. We'll just say. So I'm just wondering, is there something that they know we had something to do with things flying in the air? I don't really know. That will never be answered probably. But the one important thing is that my sister and I could identify what a helicopter was. We could identify what an airplane
Right.
was at a very young age. We discussed airplanes, and I mean, we had pictures of them. I've flown in a helicopter before. This is in the recent past, but
Mm.
we know the difference between an aircraft and something that is not of this earth. So,
Right.
and another thing also is we came from my grandmother's house. So unless this is going to be funny, so we can add some comedy, right? Unless she drugged us all with mushrooms, then I'm just saying, all four of us, then maybe we saw something that wasn't real. But
Grandma's food was that good.
grandma didn't do that. She did not do that to us. So yeah, when we actually go into deeper detail, and I don't know it's how much time we have here, but um, we do you want me to go into it a little
Oh,
bit more?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure, we have an hour at least, and we have until you're done telling what you wanna tell us, so, I'm
perfect.
here to listen to you. I
Yeah,
asked you on by yourself so we can have a conversation about what you know, what you've been through, and your whole perspective on everything, and then
sure.
obviously you have questions, you can ask them too, but,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I would love to hear as much as you're comfortable to talk about or however
yeah,
whatever you wanna talk about.
yeah, definitely. Well, and yeah, so pretty much essentially, we left my grandmother's house around 9 o'clock at night, and I did want to make it important to know that we were in the military, like aerospace business. So I'm just, again, like, if somebody can like find something from this conversation and put some pieces together for us, that would be wonderful. Because, yeah, I run UAP Experiencers, but at the same time, I'm trying to find answers, and I'm upset that we hadn't been contacted from any government agency after reporting it to the proper authorities. So I want answers too. Like, I'm here to help you, but if you hear something, like, please chime in and DM me. If you catch something that I might have not caught from, say, a book that you've read, So, yeah, I'm an expert on viewing UAPs here, and talking to you guys about it. So, um, pretty much as soon as we left her house, it was pitch black at night. My mom, my mom noticed something in her rearview mirror, and my sister and I were strapped in the back of this Cadillac, big boat of a Cadillac, and at that point, I do sort of recall feeling something behind us, but I don't. It's not when I directly saw what we saw. So my mom, she turned onto a side road that paralleled a ravine. It's basically like a riverbed. So pitch black, dark. And we're going along the little street, and my sister and I and my brother all look out the side where we could view this thing. And my brother actually rolled the window down. My mom yelled at him, "Roll the window up, roll the window up." And there were no blades. I mean, it was not a helicopter. Okay, it was, and a plane cannot
I
stand
think that
still like
even a
that.
small child, like my son, knows what a helicopter looks like,
Exactly.
and if it's that close, you really know what it looks like.
Even if you're watching Disney films, you know what a helicopter is. Sure, you just know how to identify that, and especially coming from our background, we knew exactly what one would be. So the object was the size of a diesel container, right? And I would say it was about 4 of those away from us. This thing was close to us. And my mom doesn't recall a sound. My sister doesn't recall a sound. I personally recall a whirring sound. I don't know if you remember me telling you that, but I do recall
Yeah,
a whir. And I don't know
that
how else
makes
to
sense.
describe it other than that. So it was very low. It was close to us. My mom was frightened. She was
I mean, most people would be, so
she was erratic.
I like how your brother's like, "Let me roll the window down." It's
Right.
like,
He's like, "What's up?" And in the 80s, yeah, sure, my brother, that would exactly be what he would want to do. Like, let's say hi. So my sister and I, we had to have taken off our seatbelts because we turned around and we were peering out the back of the window.
Yeah.
So my mom was yelling at me, "Look at it, Stephanie, look at it." And I'm like,
You're like,
"Okay,
I am.
I'm
Yeah.
6. It's fine. My mom's telling me to look at it." Sure. My sister was next to me, kind of crouched down, scared. So
Oh.
I know, and mind you, she was 2 years older. So a 6-year-old, I mean, I didn't really I wasn't afraid, but my
Mm.
sister, what's interesting is she was afraid. She could sense that there was something that wasn't totally
Right.
kosher
Yeah.
with this object in the air hovering, and it felt like it sounds
Well,
weird,
some
but it
people's
sounds
brains are just like, "Not normal, not okay, nope."
right. No,
So
she's afraid. And she was crouched down next to me, not wanting to look at it. So, but she saw it. I believe I saw it longer than she did because she was kind of peering next to me. And there were low, dim lights. My mom recalls 3. I recall low, dim lights also. I want to say there were 3 also. It's been a
right.
minute. And my mom had actually turned the car off. She abruptly stopped the car and turned off the headlights. So that's another thing that maybe somebody, an expert, could catch, like that I might not be gathering, is
Right.
that they have been messing with equipment. And so I'm wondering, was there something that had gone in my mom's mind where she's like, I'm going to turn this car off. I'm going to slam on the brakes. And in her words, she said she wanted to scare it. That sounds totally kooky,
Yeah.
but that's what a mom would do.
Right.
Right? It sounds wild. But that's in her mind, she was protecting the situation. So she was trying to almost hide. Like if we
Oh,
turn
okay,
off the
that makes sense.
lights, right? You just, what do
You
you do
can't
in
see
that
me if the
instance?
lights are off. Yeah.
Right. What do you do in
Oh,
that
yeah.
instance to protect your kids? Or do you just speed off and have this thing follow you? I don't know. So when she expounds on, her account on, we're going on disclosure soon. So that's going to be pretty interesting just to kind of hear the three other accounts, or two other accounts.
Yes.
It'll be interesting for people to hear that as well. But she turned off the lights, and I believe by her doing that, it did somewhat scare this thing. So I have to show you with my hands because it's the easiest way. And if you've test driven a Tesla, they have that AI where it
Yeah.
just moves with cars, right? I've test driven a couple, so that's the best way to describe it. But when she halted, the object halted exactly at the same time.
That's so crazy.
No delay. I know. No delay at all. And so if it were a helicopter, there would be a slight delay
Yeah,
because
it
they
can't just
kind of
like
push up a little.
stop. Yeah.
Right. So it stopped. We pulled back, and then it pulled back.
That is so crazy. Like,
Freaking, I
it's
know.
almost annoying. You're like, like when people are mocking you, like,
Yes.
is it messing with me? Like, why is it doing this? Why? Like, why are you doing this?
Exactly. And the only thing I can think of, and Bottled Water had mentioned this. Bottled Water is
Yeah.
another IG guy. He said, well, maybe it is the same similar AI as Tesla. And that to me was totally, just my brain
Well,
melted.
yeah. Where's he getting his information or technology ideas, or
Right.
who in the private sector is getting this sort of technology? And, even Nikola Tesla, not like, like the car, but he
Sure.
had interface with beings from somewhere else to get some of his ideas. So even if it's not like a crash retrieval and you found this technology in this parts, is it somehow being transmitted? Because even in American Cosmic, she talks about that too. Like one of her associates, one of the men, Tyler in the book, is he gets information from the beings,
Mm-hmm.
from non-human intelligences, and he's got all these like amazing patents and stuff. So
Yeah, that's to be understood eventually, hopefully. What is the answer to that? Why did it mimic us? Why did it mimic the vehicle exactly?
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I've never been suspicious of. So like when little, I was suspicious because I was afraid of what was happening.
Uh-huh.
Getting older, I was less afraid, kind of like, oh, they're just doing their jobs. And then I was remembering all the good experiences that I thought were angels, that now I'm like, that wasn't an angel. And it was a being. And it didn't have wings. I just assumed because it was a humanoid, glowy type, like luminescent being, or that just mostly looked like energy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just said the same thing twice, but just
No,
to make it
no,
clear,
no, it's very clear.
I
Yeah.
just assumed like it's an angel because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like knew in my heart like, oh, angels probably don't have wings, like we see them like on the prayer candles and stuff like that. But then now after reading American Cosmic and reading Jacques Vallée's Messengers of Deception, ... because it's a long title. It's like UFO cults and something or other. But I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is
Well,
going on? Like, we don't know what's going on.
and maybe you are accepting it as you perceive it. You know, you wanted to see it as an angel rather
Right.
than something dark. But
Well, yeah, because, like, the timing of them and the person that kinda made me realize this was I think Max had asked it, like, around your first experience, like, what was happening?
mhm,
And it was like, I was afraid of my stepdad, he was horrible, so I felt alone and helpless, and then all of a sudden, like, I wanted to see them for some reason. I knew, like, something was gonna I knew that I was gonna see something when I was outside. Um, I've been out multiple nights knowing I would see something or get picked it felt like I was, like, gonna get picked up or something. It was
mhm,
super weird. So maybe that was, like, a premonition feeling. I don't really know what it was.
sure.
But it happened, like, the angelic things that happen, um, like the sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional.
Oh,
After my brother died was, like, the last, um,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
the beings came. So, and people are like, "Oh, well, you were, like, just going through something, so you saw things and all this." I'm like, "Nope, it was real." I I had sleep
Yeah.
paralysis, and these were the same beings I had seen so vividly, as a
Mhm,
child
mhm,
when it wasn't, like, the scary experiences, if that makes sense. I was an
mhm,
adult when my brother died, you know?
mhm.
Like, how do you explain that?
Right.
And I thought they were angels at the time, of course. I'm like, "Angels came to help me that night," you know?
Yeah.
And then now it's like, they did come help, but why don't they, like, help more? Or why are they only helping some people but not others? And why there's so many more questions the more
Mhm,
I learn about, people's different experiences and the
mhm,
more books I read from people that aren't experiencers but are scientists.
mhm.
It's like I'm learning from so many different people now being in the community,
Yeah.
but almost to a point where everything's, like, different again, if that makes any sense.
Sure, you're just gaining a different or a different understanding for what you had seen before. I mean, when you're a kid, you're going to see it as, you know, just so much more
Yeah, it's like
simple.
mo it's good guy, bad guy, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
exactly. And now, you know, people are starting to want to, you know, have this whole the consciousness. Why am I doing this? Why am I thinking about this? You know, why has this been weighing on my mind? You know, why were they there to visit me and why did they choose you, Priscilla? I don't know.
well,
There
yeah, like,
had to
why'd they
be
come to you guys at night, you know?
there had to be a reason. Exactly. I mean, and so you do kind of want to start to gather data and information analytics on people who have had those similar experiences with the angel beings or abductees or simply just, you know, which is totally wild, but seeing a UAP.
Yeah.
So, you
Well,
know,
some people see something and it still changes them even if it's not in close
absolutely.
proximity. It's still
Yeah, oh,
something very
definitely.
weird.
Well, I think that
I've seen
that's,
people seeing, like, the tiniest ball in the sky,
yeah, that's
and they look it
great.
up, they're like, "Oh, that's not a satellite. Oh, that's not Venus. That's not Jupiter." And then they're like, "That was a UFO." And it just, like
Great.
it blows, like, a door open, like, in their mind, and I've noticed, like, you know, maybe it's just people that come to me, it's been, like, earth-shattering, and it's also been, like, transformative in a very scary way, but also eventually in a better way, if they
Mhm.
like to think.
Right.
You know, like,
And
some people like that. Some people like,
right.
being having their ideals challenged once it's happened, once the shock wears off, but some people
Mhm.
don't, and some people end up in some really dark places after something like that happens.
Yeah, no, and definitely for very good reason because it is scary. You know, I mean, I- it's still to this day it trips me out. It trips my sister out. My mom will bring it up sometimes, and so you think, okay, why the heck did this whole situation happen? And was it for good or was it for bad? You know, going back to what you said earlier, is did
Right.
they have bad intentions towards us? Had she not turned off the headlights and tried to, you know, hide, would they have done something different? Were they going to send
Right.
radiation down towards us?
Mhm.
Who knows?
And
Who
it's
the
so
heck knows?
different for so many people, right? Like, some people are like,
Right.
"Well, it was coming close, and I got scared, and then it went away." And some people were like, "Nope, I was scared, it was close, and it didn't care." Do you know what I mean? And then with you,
Right.
it was like, like your mom succeeded
It
in
was
getting them to go
hanging
away.
out. It was hanging out. But she did succeed. And then what I'll wrap up the whole situation also is after she had turned off the lights, she sped off. And as soon as she sped off, that's when it disappeared. And I remember a flash of light also.
Oh, wow.
So that is a new piece of information that came out where I'm going, holy crap. There was a light that I do recall. And that's where this whole experiencer, community, you can gather more information and
Yes.
recall. You don't have to go through regression.
No.
I'm kind of afraid to do something such as
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah. I
I
still haven't
really
done
kind
one
of
because I'm
am.
like, what if, like, I'm not supposed to remember that and it remembers something and it, like, ruins my, like, life or something,
I
I
don't
go
know. I
crazy, like,
don't think.
crazier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're in control of yourself. You have you're a solid
Yeah.
woman. You're a smart woman, and so I don't think that that would happen. But yeah, maybe there is something that you don't want to recall that it would bring out. But when it's something that's a detail that could be important for
Well, like the
people.
flashes of light.
Yeah, that's a very important detail. So why did that happen when we
Did
took
you,
off?
sorry, I don't wanna interrupt you, but I don't wanna
No.
forget. So J. Christopher King had mentioned flashes of light before visitations,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
kind of like when I've experienced, like I always thought it was like lightning, and then when I finally kinda, like, started acknowledging, like, maybe I'm being visited because it's always before a sleep paralysis event with a UFO event or, it's an event, So,
Sure.
like, I call them events for me. I don't know if other people call it that. It sounds super dramatic, I know, but, like,
No.
it is for me an
Wow. It's an
event.
event.
So, happening, I don't know. It all sounds weird when I say it 'cause I'm a weirdo. But, like, I
It's all
remember,
good.
like, looking out the window and, like, there's no clouds, there's nothing, and sometimes it happens, like, where I get this, like, nagging, and this happens to people where they're, like, get a feeling to go look outside, and they'll see, like, an orb or, and then after that, then the flash of light happens, and that's not something that I talked about, but J. Christopher King had said it happens,
Hmm.
to him too before he has an experience. So, other thing, I
Okay.
mean, what happened after the flash of light? Did you guys have any lost time or anything like that, or was it just seem like everything was normal? Not
I
normal, 'cause it would've just happened, but you know what I mean.
Right. Well, she sped home and she kind of zigzagged on the streets home. I don't know if she was still trying to like trick the thing or didn't know it
Yeah,
was
lose it, yeah.
she was driving. She didn't have the same vantage point as my sister and I. So my mom was thinking like a mother would, this is danger. We
They're
need to get
following
out
me,
of
let's
here.
yeah.
Right. So as a child, I don't really recall the ride home as much, but it's like one of those things. It wasn't something monumental. We drove home from our grandma's house all the time. But when we're
Right.
like trying to run away from something,
You would think
I
you'd be
I
more aware, yeah.
I think I had that feeling of we got to get home.
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as we got home back in the day, I mean, we had a rotary phone. The rotary phone, for
Yeah.
those who don't know, is the one that you turn the dial.
I do remember. Sorry, I still have, like I'm still, like, coffee from I don't know, it's just, like, a never ending, like, cough, cold thing since
Oh,
I got sick, but,
do you want
um
like a piece of
oh,
gum
no,
or?
I'll just drink something after I stop running my mouth.
Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because I remember those everywhere, like,
I know.
I
Well,
remember we had, like, a broken one that I used to play with and, like
yeah. Well, and she busted out the phone book. I mean, we didn't have Google. You know what I mean? I
big
feel
ol'
like
fun
such a nerd saying
slap it
that.
on the table.
But like, she got the phone book. She's like, we need to call the FAA. We.
Well, that
I
was
feel like
very
this is
smart of
the
her,
SNL skit.
like, I feel like something's flying.
The
Of course you call the
Californians,
FAA or the Air
the
Force or.
UFOs. Yeah, no, but I mean, she knew the right people to call, and that's the thing is people don't necessarily know that, and that's another
No.
thing is people need to know the proper authorities to report this too. And so now that this is coming out and the government's accepting it be more, it's getting it's the light that it should. People need to know if I see something that's not an aircraft and not a satellite or a weather balloon, who do I report this to so that whatever close Air Force base can address the problem, because
Right.
they don't have their eyes on the sky all the time, you know? So
And now it's
who do,
changing. We still don't
changing.
know exactly, right? Like if that happened today, I would probably message you or Vinny before I called anybody else.
Exactly. Guess what I
Like
just saw?
I don't know. I think
Right.
the last weird experience I had was before I was, like, close with anybody here, so I was like, I didn't know. I didn't tell anybody till, like, I went on, that one time, and I think I only told you, like, the first part of things, so,
Yeah, I
I think we had a
remember.
conversation about MUFON too. I don't remember how we talked about it. I know it was in direct messages when we first started talking, and I don't remember, like, it was about the, abductee questionnaire.
Okay.
And I just remember like, I didn't realize, you had said you talked to somebody who had done the questionnaire, but there was no follow through.
Oh, yeah,
So
I recall
what
that conversation.
Yeah, it
That's
was when we first
awful.
started talking.
That's awful.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
not
because
cool.
I don't know, I think that I had somebody that's what it was. I posted the MUFON questionnaire, and you're like, like, "It's a great questionnaire," and this is, like, on the side, but I've had people do it, and there's no follow through. Like, they make these claims and I think that it depends on the investigator, because I had Roderick Martin on, and he sounds like he would help facilitate that, but he's also not the abductee specialist or whatever, so,
Mhm.
it just depends on who you get, like, anywhere. But
Sure.
I remember talking to you about that, and that was kinda, like, scary because I was like,
Yeah. Where's your
because
information
like,
going?
you're
Like,
what if you do it within, say, say, like, tonight, I go lay down and then something happens, like, I get abducted or something. Who am I gonna call the next day? Because
yeah,
in my mind, knowing what I know now, I'm like, there needs to be blood work done. I need a shrink. I need,
for
another one that's
sure.
gonna
Text me. Like, I want to
like
go get
like
get a
somebody
tan.
look at my body, take pictures. Is there anything weird? Like, do I feel weird? Like,
Yeah.
but most people don't know how to do that. And then
Right.
who the hell is gonna run your blood work because of that? Like, can
Yeah.
you imagine me calling TRICARE and be like, I need some blood work done because last night I was taken up in one of those UAP, like I gotta lie and be like, I think I'm pregnant, but I need a full panel. Or I
Yeah.
had to call, like, a doctor I know and be like, "Listen, I need everything ran. I think my thyroid's off." Like, I don't you have to, like, make something up to get somebody to do your blood work, and then even then,
Yeah.
like, what do you look for? Like,
Yeah.
inflammation response, obviously, but, like,
Or
I mean,
any,
yeah,
what
Benji
are
goes, "Get Gary
biological
Nolan on."
effects,
Yep, even if
radiation.
I wanted to call Gary Nolan, like, who's gonna be able to get a hold of Gary Nolan? He's doing the pioneering stuff, but he needs like, he's barely I feel like he's making it more, obvious.
Yeah.
Um He's opening it up, but, like, if I got abducted tonight, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get a hold of Gary Nolan. I
Right.
mean, maybe I know James Iandoli, he might be like, "James, I got abducted, help me get Gary," like, maybe then, but even then, he's a scientist, he's like, "Oh, I'm studying these people, not those people, not you." You know what I mean? I mean, that could happen. I don't think he would if it was that serious, but,
Sure.
you know, what does Vinny say? I don't
That
trust
would be great. What did he say?
he says, "Personally, I don't trust MUFON, too many old guard and graybeards. Chase Klotsky is good to speak to about how bad they are." Yeah, I've seen some, I think that I've seen some of her stuff on that. And the
Oh,
only reason I even have any hope for MUFON is because of Roderick Martin, because he's such a
yeah.
big-hearted, loving person, so but that's the only person I've known personally from there, but I did try to report something a while ago, and it was just, like, blown off kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Uh, if they have that reputation, that's the reputation that is being built, sadly. And I'm not saying anything bad about them. I think that
no.
they've built a big,
They've had a big role.
sure, they've had a big role, but I think things have changed a little bit where, there's so many other outlets now where they don't have to just go to the one outlet. So that's what's pretty cool about this whole situation, and I'm firsthand like one person that I'm glad I went the route that I did, so yeah.
Well, now we
Yeah.
have citizens kinda stepping up, like, there's a lot of people in the chat that have offered, like, an open space for people,
Yeah,
and
that's
through them
wonderful.
being open and doing their work, then I think that they have connections, and I think it's also leading to bigger things that nobody even realizes is gonna connect yet.
Right.
So, but it is scary, like, I mean, think about it. Like tonight, something happens, you get whisked away, and you come back. Who on earth are you going to call? Like, in right away. You know what I mean?
Right. And all the
Assuming you
missing,
remember it tonight, or within the next couple days.
right. It's a trip. It's all the missing people. I know you did a lot of research on the people in Alaska. You lived up there for some time, right?
I did, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not by chance. There's got to be some answer to what's happening to people, and if they're lucky enough to still be alive to talk about it and remember something, then sure, who can people who's which government entity do they contact? I mean, it's not the Space
Yeah,
Force,
what are they going to say
not the
right now? Like,
FAA. It's like
mhm.
who
Are they
who
going to
do
say,
you,
"Oh, please hold. You're not a credible witness,"
right?
and
You're
then you're
just
on
gonna,
hold
yeah.
until somebody makes a place for not credible witnesses?
They'll make a place for a scripted response, and that's it. And
That's what
that's
I'm saying. Like, I feel like
right.
I'll never forget the time I was in an Army hospital, and I walk up to the front desk. I was all pregnant and huge, my first kid, miserable. I was like, needed help with something, and I was like, "Hey, like, I've been waiting, in the waiting area. Nobody's called my number," kind of thing. And the dude doesn't say anything. He literally takes a paper and he slides it across the desk to me. It's kicked back like this. Just didn't know eye contact either. It's like, and I looked at the form and it literally said, "How may I help you?" And it had
Oh,
lines on it. And
that
that's
is
what I feel like people are getting
right.
with UFO, experiences now, for the most part. Obviously, like, people outside of our community don't know we're here either. So
Right.
what's gonna? So I feel like it's super, like you said, scripted, like generic. Like, yes,
Sure.
fill out this form. It will go with the others.
That's frightening.
You know.
That is frightening. I cannot believe that happened to you, and
But
I'm
think
sorry to
about,
hear that.
yeah. Now
Wow.
it's funny because I'm like, this
Sure.
motherfucker, like, all kicked back in uniform with his feet up, handing me a "May I help you" form.
That's your literal pushing papers job
Maybe
right
I need
there.
some of those for the kids. It's gonna be a sticky note. How may I help you? But I didn't think about that till now that we're talking about it. We all have each other, but I didn't know this was a thing until last year. Like, maybe when COVID started, I didn't even know. Was it last year? I feel like it was last year, last spring, maybe. Like, I realized there was community on
Sure.
Instagram.
Yeah.
But think about all those people that don't have connections to weirdos like us, like I know I could at least tell my friend Nikki because she's very open-minded, but not everybody has a Nikki or a Steph or a Vinny or a Neil, or like, not everybody has that. So what are those people supposed to do? Like, I joke around like, "Oh, I'm just the suburban housewife now." Well, what about the suburban housewife that doesn't know me in my neighborhood and she has an experience?
Sure.
Like, they're gonna keep it secret. They can't tell church. They can't tell their pastor, you know?
Right.
They could, but
Yeah.
I know I said something to my pastor, and he's like, or my priest at the time, and he was like really mad about it. So,
Sounds accurate.
you know, God doesn't do stuff like that.
Right.
Why are you attracting demons?
Right. Well, that's the thing too, is that people are so against it because they think it's evil, and that's not the case. There's somebody else out there that it's not
Yeah.
us, and you need to wrap your mind around that and accept
Or
it.
like your sister in corporate America. Like, what if that experience happened to her now and you weren't her sister? Do you know what I mean? Or what if it never happened to any of you and then it happened now and everybody's in their normal desk job, and who do they talk
Right.
to?
She would have stayed mum about it too. I mean, she wouldn't have talked about it. So, my mom is a very open person, thankfully, so she's jokes about it sometimes
Oh, yeah.
and brings it up at,
That's
like, I mean,
awesome.
she brought it up at dinner like a month ago. I'm
I
like,
love it.
not right now, not right now. But yeah, I mean, thankfully she's open like that. But you're right, my sister, she would know that it had occurred, but she
Right.
probably wouldn't reach out to you or Vinny or Max or
Well,
Sean or
people don't
any.
even know, right? Like, you don't know
Right.
there's anybody. Because, like, people think, like, "Oh, like, I'm new to, like, the subject, and, like, I'm new to the community," but, like, the subject is I've it's changed my life, it's changed how I think, it's
Mm-hmm.
changed how I view, like, religion, people, outer space, everything. inner
Right.
space, all the spaces,
Awesome. Love it.
So I just can't imagine somebody that is very okay with like the everyday workings of life. Because there's some people that are very okay with 9 to 5, dinner, laundry, sweep the floor.
Sure.
They're very okay with the mundane things, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But not
No, I
people don't
agree.
like to go deep sometimes. Like, what if this happens to somebody that is like very surface level with their thinking, and
Yeah.
then they don't know who to talk to. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what
And
scares
then,
me is for the person that's not open-minded that experiences this, that has the
yep,
ontological crisis, that,
sure.
and maybe the family's conservative or they're in a conservative environment.
Right.
Like, almost like the Air Force, right? Like, what happened with them.
Yes. It, and they go on about their business and they do the same thing over and over again, knowing that something not normal had happened. And that's not a good way to live. I mean, you need to talk about your emotions and your feelings, and if something such as that had happened, I mean,
Right.
that's not normal. It's I don't know what the percentage is of how many people have actually viewed them, which would be interesting to find out. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to go on without trying to figure it out. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? You need to at least take some time to try to figure out why this is happening. And then of course you feel that sense of community when you know that other people have seen something similar. So you know that you're not by yourself. You know that yeah, it's rare. It's a rarity, that's for certain. But yeah, you're right. You're completely right. I mean, those people need to know. They don't know about these outlets and all of us. So
So we just gotta keep running our
yeah,
mouth and not just on
exactly.
Twitter and not
Yes,
just on Instagram.
100%.
One of my goals is to talk to more people about it. I kinda got, like,
Yeah,
frustrated last year, um, like, I joke around all the time about the same thing, like, being on the playground, talking to other moms, and
yeah,
they either, like, they have different interests than me. And,
sure.
I try to be like, "By the way," I mean, it's not, like, all weird. I know how to, like, have an opening, kind of. I mean, sometimes there's not really an opening for this sort of thing. So, like you said,
Right.
like, your mom just brought it up at dinner, and
Yeah,
but it's just, like, I feel like that's gonna be part of it is
yeah,
kinda, like, get your almost like your presentation ready, and then
yeah,
when you have the opening to talk about it with somebody that is not from the community, you have to do it.
yeah, yeah.
Because even maybe they didn't see
Definitely.
something, maybe later on somebody they know has saw something, or maybe
Yeah,
somebody's like, "Yeah, that is weird, like, when I was little, I did see something," and
yeah.
everybody thought I was crazy, which happens so I hear that over and over again.
Yeah, that's why people don't talk about it openly. They don't freely speak about it, you know? So, yeah, how do we, let's grasp those people. So hopefully they watch this show and you continue to find
Yep,
people that they feel comfortable with speaking about it. You know, there's
yep,
multiple outlets now, which is amazing. So, yeah, yeah,
absolutely, and I know that I try to, like, funnel people your way, but,
me
hopefully we
too.
can do this more often and bring on somebody that is an experiencer to talk about,
Yeah,
you know, um their experience either with you privately or if they wanna come on with us, like, we can do this every once in a while and have people come talk, about what they've been through, and you can ask them the questions. Because I feel like your questions when you asked me were so good. Like, they were so, like, professional and in depth, but I didn't feel like it didn't feel invasive, and I think, like, if you were very good at reading even through, like, text. You were like, "Okay, like, if that doesn't feel comfortable," like, you're so, empathic towards people, so I would love to see you talk to more people, so I will throw them your way if they don't
thank
wanna
you.
come on here, and if they wanna come
Yes,
on here, I will invite you on too.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
hello, everybody that joined that I did
Mhm.
not see. I saw a lot of you join, John, mostly space. I saw Neil, I seen Benji's been here, random content. Everybody that I could read forever and everybody that was here, this whole time. So I just wanted to take a break and say hello. And we are coming up on the hour. Do you have anything coming up or do you have any closing thoughts that we didn't get to because we can go longer? If there's anything you
Um,
wanted to talk to or say that we haven't said yet.
I'll wrap it up quick. I mean, I am going to be going on with disclosure team. So yes, yes, love. So we will have the verbal account for my sister that we will play. And then
Very
also
cool.
we have a video account of my mom in which we'll probably blur her face just to keep her,
Yeah,
privacy.
yeah.
And, but it's really interesting to hear the similar account with a little minor difference with mostly my sister's visual. So, yeah, so I look forward to getting on with Vinny, and we hopefully will have some more in the works later to talk to more people, as you said. So that's my goal, and to continue doing what we're doing, because if we're
Absolutely.
not, then they're going to be in that position that you described. So this is really awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be here, and that's
I'm so
it.
happy I got you on. I know I've been kind of like poking you here and there, like, trying to get you on again.
I'm glad.
So, congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You look gorgeous. You seem so happy. I mean, you always have this beautiful energy, but there's something about like love that just makes us glow differently, I guess.
Thank you, Priscilla. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So, thank you everybody that joined in the chat. Somebody said, "Are you going to do StreamYard tonight?" I don't know if they're talking to me, but we're going to stop now. But
Okay.
I'm going to thank everybody in the chat for showing up. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Steph, for coming. Hang out for a minute after I end the broadcast. If you're listening on Anomalous Podcast Network, thank you so much. Leave your feedback however you can there. If you're listening on YouTube, please give a thumbs up, a like, share, subscribe, however you want to support. And I have Steph's information in the description below, and other ways to support this channel are listed there as well. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you on Saturday for UAP Book Club, which is going to be moved to 2 p.m. Eastern and 7 UK. Sorry, I had to think about that because we want to all like be done with book club so we can go hang out on Vinny's channel and see Mr. Elizondo and Mr. Cahill. So I will see everybody there too. But have a great Thursday and Friday, everyone. Oh wait, I'm seeing somebody on Friday. I lied. I think I'm seeing Deb from Cabby on oh my gosh, Deb's Data Dojo. That's a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
From Calling All Beings. So I'll see you guys on Calling All Beings Saturday. But anyways, I'll shut up now and have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.